Welcome back. Yes, as you saw in that welcoming slide, His Excellency Babajide Sanwo-Olu joins us now. He's Governor of Lagos State. Good morning and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much, guys. Good morning and Happy New Year, team.
Thank you.
Ayo, thank you very much.
Well, that was indeed some good imagery to see concerning how that was acquired, what Lagos should expect, and hopefully the entire country could have a similar scenario. But just take us through that. What do we expect? What is the focus for Lagos concerning this?
So thank you very much. So there's been a very deep thought through to this. So there's a strong master plan, which we call the Lagos Urban Transport Master Plan. In that master plan, we'd figure out that a massive city like this, right, needs to have an efficient transportation system. And so we're blessed naturally with water in Lagos. So we have the bus transportation. We're planning to have an extensive waterways transportation, and of course the rail transportation. It's only when you can, utilize all of the components of transportation that you can efficiently run a mega city like this type. A lot of people usually compare and say that it's only Lagos that doesn't have, a metro system or a trail system, because what that does is it moves people in mass. And, so I was in government before when we started the BRT. It's the same concept on the road, so the buses are meant to move, high-capacity buses are meant to move a lot of people on dedicated corridors so that people can get, onto their destination quicker. Similarly with the waterways infrastructure, we're dredging, we're building, 17 stations, small terminals as we speak. We've acquired about 22, jetties, 50-seater, 40-seater, 30-seater, just to be able to move people all around, So those ones are a bit quicker to fix, and we are doing that. But the rail, has been, the real big one that we've just been struggling with. And I dare say that we're about the only subnational anywhere in the world, subnational, right, that is being audacious to build a rail, infrastructure by itself. Typically what you see, so people will say, Lagos doesn't have. Go and check Ethiopia. Go and check Egypt. Go and check Senegal. And I said to them, yes, those are countries. You're right. I should go and check Ethiopia. You didn't say Addis Ababa Metropole. It's the country of Ethiopia that is building. So Lagos State felt, we need to just have our mark there. Growing up, we missed it at some point, about 30, 40 years ago. So we've been very audacious in this conversation, and we said, okay, let's actually, do this. So I was in a government, it's BRF's government, and I need to give credit to that. When we started as cabinet members, we said, in our life, we've not even seen a rail being built in Lagos before. So let's try and build one. We started in 2008, 2009, right? So what we know today as the red line, which I will talk about very shortly, were the existing alignment that we thought would be an easier path, at that time. But it was difficult getting federal government approval because those were federal government lines. So we said, let's go to difficult ones, which is the blue line. So the blue line is the one we have on the Lagos-Badagry Express Road, right? So what we said to federal government then was that, so we're going to rebuild this road from 4 lanes to 10 lanes, right? And we took a wide alignment to keep a rail track in the middle. So if you go on that express, so that's why the rail tracks are in the middle. But we took a very wild alignment, on that, and we're building, the 5 lanes there, 5 lanes there, and I'm about to complete that road now. It's from Orile to Okokomaiko. It's been very difficult. But TCC is rounding up now, and I'm indeed excited that we're also going to hand over that road. So on that rail corridor, we have the blue line. The blue line, we've done the first phase, which is from Mile 2 to Marina. The Marina is a massive, massive station that is coming up, right? But this administration, our current administration, we're not lucky because we are starting the red line from scratch, from greenfield or brownfield or whatever field to fusion. And that also will be, be handed over, by the end of this year. So the red line is the existing rail corridor that takes the Lagos to Ibadan, federal government NRC, rail thing that we're. So what we've done is we've looked at, the composition of a track. You need to have a rail track that sits to what kind of intra-city trains that you're looking for. So we have the standard gauge, So we are building, we're building 8 stations, right, in all of that corridor from Alagbado, Iju, Agege, Ikeja, Oshodi, Mushin, Yaba, Ebute Metta. That's the phase 1 of it. The phase 2 of the red line will now get to Ido and eventually come to Marina. It will also do a river crossing, the lagoon crossing to Marina, right? So it's the phase 1 of the red line from Oyinbo to Alagbado. That's the talk of town now that we started and we're going to complete it. Right. And by the grace of God as well, we'll also be completing the blue line. So Lagosians, what they're expecting from us will be actively working with trains, 2 rail lines,
This year?
This year. By the fourth quarter of this year. We'll have started testing by the 4th quarter. If we don't bring passengers on, it will be for security reasons, but the trains, will be on track by the 4th quarter. The terminals, the stations will be ready by the 4th quarter, right? And so it will probably just be, things around communication that we're trying to test, things around operational training and also that we'll be trying to test. So if we'll probably be doing, some test run by the end of this quarter. And so first quarter next year, if we can start getting people on, you will see, tickets being issued on a rail track. So pretty very excited. So that, like I said, we can continue to now start implementing the master plan, the transportation master plan for Lagos, where rails work, the BRT will continue to increase the numbers, and I can talk about that, in a bit, and, the waterways infrastructure will be. And the beauty of it is we're trying to have, a comm system where it will be one set of card that you can hop in and hop off on all of these networks. So it's the same card that you can use, on the bus, the same card you can use, on the waterways, the same card you can use, on the tracks. They will back end settling themselves. And that is almost happening already now, with the Cowrie card being used on the buses that we're also trying to get them to use, on the jetties on the ferries that we have.
So clearly, pardon me, this is a very extensive plan, just listening to the volume of it. And, for a lot of Lagosians, and in fact, people that have to do business in Lagos, they wonder, so is this goodbye to the days of the infamous Lagos traffic?
That's the plan. That is the vision, and how you need to be looking at it strategically is how efficient are people on the road, How much of journey times can we reduce? Everywhere in the mega city. I'll tell you a story in New York, We got it wrong. About 2 years ago, I went for Onga, and we're meant to move from our hotel to United Nations, General Assembly. They were like 10 blocks, and we're taking a decision. Should we walk? Should we take a taxi or something? We took the wrong decision. We went on a taxi. After 30 minutes, we had to come down and still walk 6 blocks to get to the place. That's a typical mega city. So it's the kind of thing we're trying to do here. How do we get our people a bit more efficient, on the road? Time is money, and we need to move millions of people from one corridor to the other. So you're right, Kalde. The vision is to reduce, traffic time, reduce gridlocks on the road, and be able to do what we call a better journey planning. Journey plan where you can predict pretty much that this journey is going to take you 25 minutes. It's going to take you 30 minutes. It's not the one you get lost, on the road that we have now, and you are there for 2-3 hours.
Your Excellency, listening to you, it's like you're already campaigning to the converted, so to speak. My apologies. But, it really is a grand plan. Perhaps the major challenge would be the buy-in of the people. Vision casting to the extent that people can own it even before they begin to see it. The red line and the blue line are just 2 of 6 or 7 of such. And you talked about a grand master plan. It definitely will cost some infrastructure. It's going to cost some Lagosians, one thing or the other. Is there a plan to get people to own this process so that it's not just government that is doing it? Government has the partnership of the people to get it done in the long run.
Ayo, you're very spot on, right? And that's why government has to continually, get the trust of its citizens and let them know, and that's why I can wake up this morning to continue to do that. Let them know what are the things you have for them, what are the plans you have for them, so that even in their own planning of life, they also can do it. And I'll give you a simple example. If people know that there's going to be a train or a rail from Alagbado, for example, and they're working in Oyinbo or they're working in Yaba, and they see for certain that in 1 year, in 2 years, it's going to happen, you actually can get to buy a plot of land not far off from your train station, right? That is a lot cheaper than having, you know, to stay in a property that is more expensive in the city. So you can, once you see that plan of government, you can actually take an investment and say, you know, I'm going to build up my bungalow just 10 minutes away from the train, because I know once Sanwo-Olu, you know, gives a commitment and the train works 1 year down the line, my journey time, you know, is just 20 minutes, I can plan. So you're right, you know, with, you know, government communicating with the citizens, understanding what our plans are, what our vision for them will be, because this is not something that you sleep and you wake up and it will be there. Okay. So we need to continue to communicate, you know, and those are some of the things that we're doing. Okay. You know, on the second one that you talked about, so the master plan actually has 7, you know, lines. You know, there's a green line, there's a yellow line, there's a purple line, there's an orange line. So what we're doing with those ones, we're doing extensive, you know, feasibility studies and traffic count, you know, for it to make a lot of economic sense, you know. Yeah, subsidy will come there at some sort in terms of, you know, government needs to have its skin in the game. But for it to even make economic sense, you know, you have to do extensive, and some of those feasibility studies need to take 2 seasons. You know, you need to be able to do a wet season, a dry season. What are people, where are people moving to? So that is going on. And we'll have, you know, both local and international consultants doing that for us on the remaining 4 lines, you know. So we're hoping that that will be ready by the middle of the year. Okay. So that we can communicate and now say to people, you know what, there are other lines that are still coming. It's going to take additional 2-3 years for us to complete them. And these are the areas in which we're looking at.
Part of the promise you made on this particular project, the trains and all, is that it's also going to provide employment. I don't want to take for granted what the employment opportunities are for young people.
It's enormous. You know, so you can just see what happens in other parts of the world, you know. In fact, from next month, we're going to be the extensive advert. You know, so that's why we need to get all of our young engineers on board, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, you know, people that we're going to be trained, you know, at platform operators, people that will be ticket operators, people that will be, you know, masons, you know, all sort of skills that will be required, you know, in their hundreds. The train operation is not something that you just keep, you know, under your... So a lot of jobs will be created, and directly and indirectly. You know, indirectly will come from all of the additional commercial, you know, investment. You know, so you come out of a train station, you know, you're rushing home, you have only 10, 15 minutes. Some sort of commercial activity will come, you know, around some of those train stations, you know, where you can quickly buy your groceries, you know, you can do your last-minute shopping before you do your last mile, you know, to your home. So we're looking at all of the real estate, you know, commercial activity coming up there, which will also, you know, help with the job, you know, creation. These are very massive infrastructure, you know, development that usually happen, you know, around, you know, a train station. You know how the bus that usually comes out, you know, of a train station, you know, and all of those things will be.
In other words, we don't need to worry too much about maintenance, which you've always spoken about here.
We need to. You know, please, I will not sit here and not. You know, and that takes me to the second part of our trip last week. So we went to a city called Istanbul, you know, in Turkey, right? And I'm not going to be, you know, talking much about selling Istanbul because I'm a Nigerian and I'm not Turkish, but I was very impressed with the level of infrastructure. So we looked at a city that has similar demography as Lagos, huge, thick population. You know, Istanbul is actually the biggest, you know, in terms of population, almost 17, 18 million in Europe now. You know, and they have a massive train, you know, metro infrastructure, you know, over 150 stations. So I met with workers, with the mayor. I couldn't meet the mayor himself, but all of the leadership team, you know, at the metropole. And one of the things that you know, just yesterday too, I met with the Turkish ambassador, by the way, just also to ventilate and validate that relationship. So one of the things they've said to us is that, you know, we can have that city relationship where training, they have huge training facilities that we can send people down, you know, there, you know, to train them. You know, the Chinese are also, you know, willing to take a lot of people, you know, back home too, because you need to begin to do the training now, 6 months, 5 months before even actual activity starts, so that they can know, you know, how to maintain some of these things. So you'll also have, you know, in-house, on-board skills that will need to come in. You know, you need to get your hands really dirty for you to be able to, you know, maintain this thing. So it's still be walk in the park for us. We're not completely out there yet. But, you know, like a new car, it will be a case of, well, it's brand new, nothing should happen first, you know. But whilst you are utilizing it, you need to quickly wrap up, you know, ability and capacity to be able to train your own citizens so that they can own it. You know, they're going to have massive, you know, what we call stabling yards, which are like the parking lot for a train. Massive stabling yards, you know, where you can do quick fixes. And, you know, they are routine. There will be general maintenance. There will be routine maintenance. Just want to, you know, those things are, a train could last you 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. You know, they have massive steel infrastructure. But they have regular maintenance after like 4,000, 5,000 kilometers. You need to check the wheels, you know, check that, you know, the grinding. That's what they told us. You know, those wheels are moved, they're grinding, so you need to resurface it. It's like when you have your car and you're doing your brake pads, you know, those kind of, that's how it works, you know. So there's kind of massive training that so you need to be able to train, you know, masons, you know, people that know how to, you know, do, not plumbing now, you know, masons, people that know how to fitters, you know, so those are kind of, you know, soft skills that we need to wrap up and be able to, you know, be in a position to.
Well, we have more ground to cover, but we'll do that when we return in just a moment. Don't go away. We are with His Excellency Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Governor of Lagos State, talking about infrastructure development in Lagos. The rail system, for instance, they're going to feed into each other, as you've spoken about rail, the water, the land, but safety is very key in this. Much as you've spoken about youths, the unemployment, how it will impact it positively. But we see time and again how people don't seem to get with the program, and then all those crossings and not understanding how we should conduct ourselves around those areas. What are you doing about that?
You know, unfortunately, if you check the papers, about 4 days ago, there was a small train accident in Kano, where it was reported that, you know, a train was moving, and that's why for an intracity, you know, infrastructure like this, we need to build what we call overpasses. You know, if you go around Lagos now, and I need to apologize to my citizens that a bit of traffic in some places, it's because of the kind of infrastructure that a rail requires. You know, a rail will move at grid. You know, it's very expensive to put them, you know, elevated, but it's a lot cheaper when we build, you know, overpasses for vehicles. So if you go to Oyinbo at where we call Old Yaba Road, we're building a bridge, a proper vehicular bridge. And the only reason we're building it is because the train can move underneath the bridge. So vehicles and humans will move on top, right? And they will go. If you go to Yaba, as difficult as Yaba is with all the congestion, we're building an overpass there. From Tejo Shoot into Yaba, we're building an overpass there. It's out. The columns are out. Everything is out. We're going to complete them also before the end of the year so that the train can go underneath. If you go to Mushin, if you're crossing from Mushin, Ujuri to Fadeyi, you know, we're building an overpass. If you go to Ikeja, we're building an overpass. If you go to Ayola Koka, that's at Iju, we're building an overpass. So we're concurrently developing 5 overpasses. These are bridges. These are brand new bridges, vehicular bridges, so that when the trains are moving, you know, we're not stopping manually. We're not stopping vehicles manually to let the trains move. And why is this important? It's because we're looking at 10, 15 minutes headroom. You know, every 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes at max, a train must pass. So you cannot be stopping, you know, vehicles all the time. The one that federal government will be doing for us is the Jibu, and they've awarded the contract, you know, as well. So there has to be an overpass there, you know, and once we do all of that, issues around safety will be completely eliminated because the vehicles will be moving on top, the trains will be moving, you know, underneath, and that way there will not be any, you know, conflicts, you know, arising from movement of either the vehicles or the trains themselves. If you look at the blue line, for example, and that's why that has been a lot of financial pain on us. From Orile, it has to get elevated. So it's a bridge all the way from Orile to Marina on the blue line. So the track are elevated. You know, the train will be moving on top of a bridge, all track. Because that one, the right-of-way was extremely very difficult for us to put it at grid. So we needed to build a bridge, you know, for the train. And that's why you're seeing at Marina, you know, that bridge that looks very, it's coming all the way from Orile, you know, and it will also be completed, you know, before the end of this year. Okay. We're on track, we're on budget with all of these things.
All right, let's go to Abuja. Makwa can relate. She used to live in Lagos. So, Makwa, I'm not sure I heard about Badagry, but Makwa, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chamberlain. You certainly know that I'm going to talk about Badagry, and it's for good reason, too. Good morning, Your Excellency, or should I say Mr. Governor. Let me quickly ask you, first, when these trains come on board, and I'm very excited about them, as excited as you are about them, but I wonder at what cost they'll come, not just to the Lagos State government, but also to the people of Lagos. Well, we can talk about the cost of building and what it has cost Lagosians so far in terms of traffic. But in terms of when it finally comes on board, how much do you think is going to cost to be able to ride in these trains? Because we do know that most times all over the world, sometimes, yes, rail infrastructure is heavily subsidized, but it's also quite expensive despite the subsidies.
Thank you very much, Marco, and Happy New Year to you again. I know all of the conversations around coming to see you in Abuja, so I will do that one of these. But you see, you're spot on. So as a government, we need to be able to do what we call the heavy lifting, right? There's no private sector investor that will help you come and develop the infrastructure. So government must carry the burden of building the track. Government must carry the burden of building all of the train stations and all of the communication gadgets that comes with it, right? And in some case now, government also have to be able to deal with the rolling stock, you know, just so that you can stimulate the private sector to come in. And it also can come, you know, at a budget to your citizens at the end of the day, right? So what we see, you know, part of our funding is as if we're building a road as well. It's as if we're building, you know, a road from one part of the city to another. So that's why we can make those investments to build the tracks, to build the terminals, and to ensure that our citizens have that. So those are some costs that are on the balance sheet of the state. So we don't pass that at all to the citizens. So essentially, the kind of things that you see that will be passed on will be the maintenance costs when they start operation, and the maintenance cost will be how long will it cost to truly really maintain, you know, a train infrastructure and, you know, the movement up and down, the staff salary, you know, the lightning and all of the kind of things. So those kind of numbers that you need. You are not going to need to ask them to do cost recovery on the infrastructure you have built. So it will not come at anything that's going to kill the budget. And by the way, these are long-term investment, you know. So they don't have a 5-year, you know, depreciation like a vehicle that you ought to do a cost recovery over 5 or 6 years. You know, a truck or a train is 30, 40 years. So you have a longer, you know, cost recovery. So it's not something you're going to, you know, need to be able to kill your citizens for. And finally, also, where subsidy also can come is you need to look at, you know, the time of the day. There could be rush hour that you see every part of the world. So that could be at a slight premium. So that if you don't need to travel at the time in which people that are truly, really rushing to get to work or to get to school are traveling, so you can stay back. If you're just going to greet your cousin or your friend, you know, down the line, you can wait for an 11 o'clock train ride. You know, you don't need to rush with them at 7:30. That is, you know, prime time, or that is, I mean, traffic time for everybody. So those are some of the fair metrics that one can put into it and make sure that it's accessible and it's affordable. You know, affordability is critical because it also is a mass movement. So it reduces your total cost because, you know, it has to be in a way in which you can, a car, we call a train, one of them, we call it a car. A car can indeed take about 150 to 200 people, you know, and it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes at max. So people can stand, people can hop in and hop off. So it won't take so much. So we believe that the cost, you know, will come down significantly, you know, for the citizens. So I do not think that they will be breaking their bank. I can assure you, you know, it will be very, very affordable and very accessible.
Well, I'm looking for actual numbers, Mr. Governor. I'd like you to be able to tell us, because I'm sure that while you're doing this, there must be permutations already in terms of what is affordable to the citizens of Lagos and maybe anyone who will be coming to visit from any other part of Nigeria or from any other part of the world. What has your administration termed affordable? Give an instance, or relate to Marina, for instance. How much would you think that would cost an average rider, maybe off-peak period, peak period? What is your administration thinking?
Top of my head, 200 naira, you know, 250. it probably will not be more than that. It probably will not be more than that. 200, 250, you know, I really cannot say, because the fare structure will be where you're joining to where you're upping off. But typically it will not be more than, you know, more than what you're running on your regular BRT, you know, lines today. It certainly cannot be more than, because for it to be accessible, right, affordability is critical. For people to want to make it a better option, you know. Yes, you can say that now it's quicker. Instead of you staying 1 hour on the road, it's going to take you 20 minutes, or it's going to take you, you know, 25 minutes. So that comes with a lot of benefit. But affordability is critical, and I can assure you, Mawakwe, that it's not going to be in thousands. So I said that you're going to use 5,000 on a train journey. Certainly nothing close to that. So you still be in your regular 200 naira, 300 naira, you know, per journey, you know, and that's the kind of numbers that we're looking at. At best, if our operator says that, no, Mr. Governor, is more expensive, what we'll do for them, we can do a financing matrix and say that, you know what, I'll give you a longer tenure time, you know, to be able to defray your costs, but keep it, you know, affordable for our citizens, because it's for them, it's all about them, you know, and that's why we're there. So we certainly will have that difficult conversations with them to make sure that it's affordable. So, Mark, have I given you a figure?
Let me ask you about Badagry then, because this blue line, which you talked about, you say it's supposed to, is it link up with Badagry? But in the meantime, what exactly is the state of road between Mile 2 and Badagry, which we understand for a while now has been in a state of disrepair? What exactly is the current state, and what are the plans for that part of the road?
Okay, so thank you very much, Mark. Like I did mention, so we're doing a 10-lane highway on that corridor, right? We're completing the stretch to Okokomaiko before the end of the second quarter this year. Completed as in 10 lanes, you know, rigid pavement, good to go road with a lot of bridges. There are lots of about 4 bridges that crosses, you know, from Alakija, another one at Trade Fair, another one at Lasu Junction, overpasses in which you can actually take, you know, bridge and cross over to the other side. So that's really what we're doing. So from Mile 2 to Okokomaiko will be completed fully, and that's in, I mean, about 18, 20 kilometers or so, right? From Okokomaiko to Agbara, right? Federal government is working with a constructor, you know, a construction company to do that, and they're on site. They're doing that, you know, as we speak, you know. So once we get to what's it called now? Agbado, what did I call it now? Well, on the way to Badagry. Once that road, federal government finishes that road from Alagbado. No, it's not Alagbado. I've forgotten the name of the... Huh? Agbara, exactly. That's where I wanted. It's Agbara. From Agbara to Badagry, it's straight road to get. So the only part that is remaining is from Okokomaiko to Agbara, which the federal government is standing. Remember that this is a federal government, you know, road. You know, it's part of the West African, you know, international corridor. It's an international route. You know, we took an audacious position, you know, several years ago to rebuild that road. You know, and we took it over from a 4-lane, we've developed it to a 10-lane highway. You know, and so we've done incredible and remarkable work, you know, on that road. But the other thing we're doing for Badagry, because my Badagry citizens, you know, need to also understand this. I'm building three jetties in Badagry so that we can utilize the waterways from Badagry into other parts of Lagos, right? And 2 of them have been completed. You know, they've started using it. The 3rd one, you know, which we call the Badagry Marina, will also be completed very, very soon. So we have 3 jetties already in Badagry, you know, meaning that you can move from a place like Ikoyi, Falomo, you know, you can move from a place like Liverpool in Apapa, you can move straight to Badagry in 20-25 minutes. So you don't have to come in on that express. And we've created that alternative for people, right? I have moved from Ikoyi, you know, straight to Badagry before in 35 minutes. You saw what Nigerian Green Eagles did last year when they moved from the waterways to all the way to Benin Republic. So it's the same kind of thing that we're talking about, and it's safe, it's secure. You know, those are the kind of alternatives that we're providing.
Now that we're talking about roads, and you have addressed your citizens in Badagry, you may need to address your citizens in Ikorodu as well.
Yes.
And I'm sure you understand some of their concerns.
Yeah, I mean,
My apologies, Your Excellency. The Oba Sekumade Road leading to Golonto, the Igbobayeku Road, and then that one that leads Old Shagamu. Exactly.
Okay, so we're doing several things in Ikorodu, and you've mentioned it. You know, Oba Sekumade Road in Ikorodu is 80%, 90% completed. It's a rigid pavement. The thickness of a rigid concrete is about this. We're doing a massive, drainage on that corridor. That place usually get flooded, right? And it's completed. We're going to be commissioning the road by the second quarter of this year. That's Oba Sekumade, goes to Ogolonton Road. The Agric-Ishawo is a naughty one. It's a long stretch of road, that goes, all the way going towards Lagos-Badagry Express Road, right? One of the things that we did not do very well there was that we took a wider right-of-way. A wider right-of-way meaning that we're trying to build, 3 lanes, where indeed we needed only 2 lanes, right? The contractor is back on track there. The road has been stabilized, right? My fear is that they need to ensure that they properly put asphalt on it before the rain comes on. So it's only Agric-Ishawo that I get a flag and say that, Mr. Governor, come and quickly finish it. It's massive, it's big, it's been well stabilized, and I know that I have good friends even in your corporation that are flagging me on that road. So we're going to complete that, as well.
Well, a couple of them.
A couple of them, okay.
You can land on that point.
Okay, so, and the last one is Igbobayeku Road, a similar contractor also on it, and we're assuring them that these are projects that it's of great concern to us. We've done Ijede Road, for example. We've completed, we've handed that one. We've done the one going to Beribe, we've handed over that one. So these are all new attributes. Ikorodu is such a massive, suburban, development now. And these were very, very tiny roads before that were just opening up and, we're making, the things available there. Similarly in Ikorodu as well, we have 3 jetties that were built for them so that they also have the alternative of moving by the waterways, from the Pakodo jetty to Ibeshe jetty, so that people can also come in from other parts of, of the city using the water infrastructure that we have. So I can assure my Ikorodu citizens that they know that we're on site. They know that our contractors are working. We just have to push them a bit more so that they can complete, Agric-Ishawo. Okay, you mentioned also the one going to Shagamu, right? So we're doing, they call the place Itailewa or something, that naughty roundabout at Ikorodu. They will tell you that we're doing complete traffic reconstruction on that place. We're removing the entire roundabout from that place, and we're doing massive reconstruction there. The road from that place to Ishagamu is a federal road, right? And I understand that it's been awarded. So what we're doing is we're doing a palliative to get you to the Polytechnic, which by news is going to be a university now, to Lagos State Polytechnic. Right. So we're doing palliative, but we're reconstructing the entire roundabout there because that is really where the gridlock is, in Ikorodu. Quite
a lot of ground to cover, I must confess to you, but I'll try to take all of this so we can cover as much as we can in the short time that we have. In terms of costs, you talked about rail, road. I mean, we've talked about what it will cost the people. For the government, how is the government financing this? Is this out of pocket? Is it borrowings? Because, I mean, looking at the debt stock of Lagos in 2015, compared to now, it has more than doubled. So how exactly is Lagos State financing all of this, which is huge, by the way?
Well, I mean, so Kali, you're right. You cannot eat an omelette without breaking the egg, So it's not a difficult, and a more well thought out decision that I have to take, I have extensive, experience in finance, and in banking, and I know how some of these things are. I also know what, the GDP of Lagos is, and I know what, GDP, to debt stock is in terms of sustainability, ability to be able to meet your obligation, is. Yes, it's true that our debt is higher, compared to where we were 6-7 years ago. But the truth is that we're still the most sustainable state, even better than, well, we cannot compare ourselves with the federal, sustainable state in terms of what our numbers are. We're meant to be having, for example, like a 40% sustainable ratio. We're still doing early 20s, 21, 22%. So we still have a lot of room in terms of sustainability. You can see what our IGRs are, on a monthly basis. But to answer your question very, very clearly, yes, we're doing a combination of a lot of things. We're pushing on our IGR, our ability to be able to raise, revenue internally, but we're also talking, to, our lenders. And the beauty of the kind of lending that we're looking at local borrowing at single digit for 10, 15 years. So if you are looking at borrowing for infrastructure that will last you 20, 30 years, and you are doing a complete match, in terms of, 10, 15 years borrowing, single digit, we're talking of borrowing at 8, 9%. It's incredible, and you cannot miss it. Failure to do that and to take the difficult decision now, inflation will catch up with you 1 year down the line. A road they're supposed to build today at $1 billion, in 1 year, it turns to $3 billion. So you need to take that hard decision now, lock it in, make sure that you do not have variation on any of those numbers, and keep it straight with the contractor.
So do we have an idea of the numbers now for the rail infrastructure?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so for the rail infrastructure, we have borrowing from so that's why we're excited that we will complete it, because we'll have all the financing to get to the end of it. So in terms of what we're looking at about 150 billion to be able to complete, both the rail line and the blue line, and that's the kind of bucket number, that we'll be able to raise, from the stock, from the debt market.
Okay, even as we're winding down, yes. Where are we concerning the Fourth Mainland Bridge at the moment?
Well, that's also an interesting one. So that is, one of the legacies that we're also going to be leaving, before the end of our 4-year, tenure. What we have is we've paid the final bill for the consulting. The consulting meaning all of our consultants that are building. So what we're doing is it's a PPP model that we're trying to do with the Fourth Mainland. And we've gotten, concessionaires, we've gotten, PPP people that we're at the last stage now. We started with 35 companies being interested in building the Fourth Mainland. We've reduced that to 3 now. So the final 3 people now were the final bid process to be able to identify the concessionaire. So what is the Fourth Mainland Bridge? The Fourth Mainland Bridge is a 37-kilometer ring road, right from Lekki, the Ajah axis of Lekki, crossing the water, going all the way behind Ikorodu, eventually terminating on Lagos Ibadan Express Road. It's like an M25 out of London. So it's a ring circular road, right? And it's massive, it's huge. We believe that with that construction, a lot of internodal movement will happen very quickly in Lagos. So where we are is we believe that we'll identify a concessionaire and we'll do groundbreaking before the end of the second quarter. I believe that we'll identify the concessionaire before the end of first quarter. But before you can sign all of the documents and everything, they should be able to do groundbreaking before the middle of this year. Once the groundbreaking is done, right, then we can begin to see that development will start. It probably will take 2-3 years, or thereabout, for the construction to start.
Just a quick one. When you talk about all of this infrastructure, big cities deal with security issues, traffic, robbery. So what is the thinking about ensuring that these kind of challenges don't pop up any further?
So that's why we're building what we call a smart city component, right? And in our smart city infrastructure, we're trying to escalate, CCTVs, when people know that there's a highly chance that they get caught, or there's a back-end, solutions where you can review what had happened, then people will also know that they need to detest from doing it. So what we're doing is that we're trying to ensure that once we build the fiber infrastructure, we will have CCTV. We're going to 2,000. We've deployed about 250 right now. And it's majorly for traffic management, for the kind of things you've mentioned, where we can give information to the Nigerian police, for them to track on
this one is for the road. You campaigned for former governor yesterday. What about you or yourself? What's happening to your second term?
So, I mean, as we speak, we've done about 2/3 of our time, about 66, 65.7%, because we count it every day. The field is not open yet. The race has not been declared open yet. But for me, it's about ensuring that these 4 years that I've promised my citizens, I put every bit of my sweat into it.
Right? Are you going to vie for a second term?
Well, I mean, so when the numbers, let the citizens also, I will ask, I will consult, I will say, how do you see, what do you think?
Wow.
Those are some of the things, that's only way that's how you get it done. Keep your focus on, try and finish very, very strong. When it's time for us to do all of politicking, as in you're going to we'll do it. But it's available for you. The Constitution says you can't do a second.
What are the chances? 50-50, 60-80?
No, I think the citizens will do. I think we're doing a very good job. And if I dare say so. So I think that the citizens know, what it is they will be missing if they don't, let us, continue to, wrap up all of the things that we're doing.
That sounds like one good term deserves another.
Well, I mean,
okay.
Say that.
Okay. Well, thank you, Babajide, for coming on this morning. His Excellency Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Governor of Lagos State. Well, that is the show today. We thank you all for watching. We'll see you again. Oh, no, not tomorrow. Next time. I'm Chamberlain. So.
Yes, I'm Kayode Okikele.
If only I could say that. I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful day.
I'll be seeing you tonight. It's noteworthy that the gentlemen didn't take off their jackets today, but hey, it's for the Governor of Lagos. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.